Good morning, my fellow Canadians. Okay, next post. Self-defense. Under the current legislation, under the Liberals, you're not really allowed to defend yourself anymore. I have met individuals who have resorted to violence to defend themselves, victimized twice. Once by the criminal who broke into their home or offered them violence. Second time by the judiciary. Under the Liberals, Liberals are appointing judges to the bench, not based on their skills at jurisprudence, but on their loyalty to the Liberal Party and liberal values, such as they are. So, here's my proposal for the laws regarding self-defense. I would love to see the law clearly written, no ambiguity whatsoever. I would love to see the law clearly written. If anybody enters your home illegally, the intent to do bodily harm is assumed, and the homeowner has the right to use any means at their disposal to defend their property, their home, specifically their home. I would love to see the law written in such a way that there is, like I said, no question. The criminal cannot say, someone breaks into your home, let's say you're a single woman, and a career criminal breaks into your home, or you're a senior, and someone breaks into your home or enters your home illegally, pushes their way through the door, slips a window, patio door, whatever, and you shoot them. You're 100% in the clear, no charges laid, because it is assumed as soon as they broke into your home that they meant to offer you bodily harm. That is a given under the law. Now, here's my reasoning behind that. Under the current system, you have to prove that they meant to offer you bodily harm. You cannot use excessive force. So theoretically, if the criminal is armed with a knife and you have a firearm and you use a firearm, that becomes excessive force. Like, what was I supposed to do? Hunt up a knife and confront the criminal with a knife? So it's an even level playing field? Really? At my age? So, like I said, you have a single woman, you have a senior, you have someone who's partially infirm. As soon as they break into your home, intent to do bodily harm is assumed. So let's say that you do confront a criminal and he says, no, I wasn't going to hurt anybody, I was just going to rob them. No, the law says clearly, as soon as you broke into the home, the intent to do bodily harm or commit murder is assumed. End of story, criminal goes away, you don't face charges, finito. Not dragged through the court system, not victimized again, you're in the clear, 100%. Property, different story. Property, yes, call the police. Someone is on your property committing an offense, breaking into your shed, attempting to steal your car. Outside of your residence, call the police. Now, if someone is on your property and you confront them and holler, let's say, hey, and they turn around and start shooting at you, you have a firearm and you return fire, 100% in the clear. As soon as they start shooting at you, the intent to kill you is a given and you are 100% in the clear. That's what I would like to see written into the law. The other one I would like to see written into the law, and two cases come to mind specifically regarding this one. One, for us older people, will remember Susan Becker. There was this attractive redhead, I'm partial to redheads, this attractive young redhead working at a Max Smoke store, I believe, and she was robbed. She didn't resist. She didn't offer them any contrary action. She gave them the money like they said. They turned around to leave with the money, and one of the guys turned around and shot her for no reason and left this lovely young lady as a permanent cripple. She died actually not that long ago. Another one was Vivi Limones, if anybody recalls that. Vivi Limones was at a one of those dessert places, Just Desserts, I think it was, if memory serves me well. Same thing. They had robbed the patrons, robbed the cash register. They were leaving, and the guy turned around. One of the guys turned around and shot her for no reason. I can't recall which case it was, but the defense of the shooter, they were caught. The defense of the shooter was, they didn't know it was loaded. That should not be a defense under the law. The other thing I would like to see clearly written under the law, that as soon as a criminal picks up a firearm, the intent to do murder is assumed. By the very act that a criminal has picked up a loaded firearm, the intent to do murder is assumed. I didn't know it was loaded, not an excuse. As soon as a criminal picks up a loaded firearm, the intent to do grievous bodily harm is assumed. And any defensive measures, you shoot a kid, some gangbanger with a loaded handgun, well, he didn't fire at you. Doesn't make any difference. The intent to do bodily harm is assumed by the very nature that a criminal has possessed a loaded firearm. I would like to see that. That would clean up a lot of the courts. That would clean up a lot of the defense arguments. If the law was clearly defined, that ambiguity, again, would be gone. That defensive loophole would be closed. I didn't know it was loaded. I didn't know it was going to go off. I didn't mean to pull the trigger. The trigger must have gone off by itself. No, no, no. None of those would be allowable as a defense. As soon as they picked up the firearm, the intent to do grievous bodily harm or to commit murder is assumed. Under the current judiciary, forgive me, under this moronic liberal government, which is a tremendous illustration how out of touch they are with Canadians and basic Canadian values. They are appointing judges to the bench, not based on their jurisprudence abilities or their knowledge of the law. Are they a liberal? Not the best qualified for the job, but are they among the party faithful? There was that broke not that long ago that the Liberals are going through the voters list to find out judges. So this guy supports Liberal. Okay, we're going to support a nomination, let's say, to the Supreme Court or to the bench because it's a Liberal. And Liberal judges are handing out sentences that do not reflect the Canadian values, do not reflect the public's repugnance for the actions committed on the most specious of grounds. The moronic Liberal judge who tried to prevent Premier Ford from downsizing City Council, Toronto City Council. The legal arguments he put forward were garbage. He tied himself into a freaking pretzel trying to deny the government the right to do what it had the right to do, trying to find a legal basis for this, and just tied himself into a knot. Ian Thompson, who had his house firebombed. Catch this. Someone is firebombing your house while you are in residence. Okay, throwing Molotov cocktails at your home while you are in residence. Now, someone tries to burn me alive in my home. I consider that attempted murder. The Liberals, because he used a firearm to defend himself, and he didn't shoot anybody, he shot into the air and scared them off the property. He spent, I believe the figure I heard was around $60,000 it cost him. He beat all the charges. They tried to say it was a property crime because he's trying to burn the house. Property crime. I'm in my home. Now, if the house is vacant, then yes, it's a property crime. It's arson. But when I am in my home, and they know this, and someone firebombs my home, to me, that's attempted murder. It's that simple. Not to the judiciary. The one that I went on before, the groper, this Muslim scumbag groping young girls, I believe it was in the pool at the West Edmonton Mall, got released because the judge's argument that the gentleman was a victim of cultural differences. Really? Didn't know it was wrong? I went at that on another post. There's case after case after case after case after case where the law is failing Canadians under the Liberals And I blame the liberals for this and that wave of liberalism and loony leftist socialist theory that's sweeping this country, brought in under the liberals. Thank God, from what I'm seeing, there is a groundswell now for more and more common sense. There's a very strong possibility that, barring some major gaffe, that the Conservatives will form the next majority government. And I hope to God it does come to pass. And I hope to God whoever is our Attorney General or whoever sits on the Justice Committee starts looking at the laws, overturning the garbage the Liberals have put out and subjected us to as Canadians, and starts getting us back to Canadian values, starts getting us back to common sense, starts assuming, as I do, more and more personal responsibility, allowing the Canadian citizen to assume more and more personal responsibility. It would actually take less pressure off the police. It would take pressure off the courts. Someone breaks into my home. I have a firearm. I defend myself. I'm a senior. Crackhead, con. I don't care if he's there to rob me. Is that still acceptable? Because he wasn't there to cause me bother. He says, if he survived, he says, or she says, I wasn't there to rob them. I was just there to rob them. I wasn't there to cause them bodily harm. No, again, like I said, not a defense. If the law is clearly set forward, which I would love to see, not only for myself, but for every Canadian out there. Yes, call 911. The old truism that, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away. Well, that's in the city. What about in the country? Rural Canada has been getting it up the bum by the Liberal government over and over again, out of touch. So what my thing is today, my theme for today, self-defense, the right of self-defense and a clearly defined castle doctrine. I am praying to God with all the problems our Andrew Scheer will have to face to correct after 4 years of this moronic sock boy and his cabinet. I would love to see that as part of the platform when he gets in. If he, let's face it, if he brought that up now, if the Conservatives brought that up now, you would have the Liberals and the loony left screaming about blood in the streets and mindless violence, etc. All the scaremongering and lies that they put forward whenever anything doesn't go their way, that would all come out. So I hope you support me in this. I would love to see every Canadian who's concerned about their own personal welfare, either currently or future, or for your kids, your families. If you feel that your personal protection is more important than liberal perception, pass this on. Push this forward for your MP or your MPP to see a clearly defined castle doctrine and a clearly defined set of laws that will allow us to protect ourselves when we have to. Okay, so that's my little blurb for the day. I hope you all have a great weekend. Take care.